These are unprecedented times. We have not experienced a situation like this on a local or national or global level as the current pandemic that we are facing. Many of us are just trying to get our heads around surviving through the loss of income, through the difficulties of partnerships, through the shortage of some of the foodstuffs, to really just understanding what this is actually meaning both for now in the short term and for the long term. This is something which has taken us all by surprise. In a time of such uncertainty, what can we do to keep our head above water? What can we do to ensure we just survive all the barrage of information and uncertainty that's around us? And then, more importantly, what can we do to start positioning ourselves to see us coming out of the situation so that we can go from surviving to thriving? Well, these are my 7 steps to go from surviving to thriving in any time of crisis, and I want to share them with you. So I'll see you on the other side. My name is Robin Booth and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I invest in real estate both locally in South Africa. I have commercial property, student housing, Airbnb units, normal residential, multi-let units, and I also invest in the US. Not only that, I'm also a businessman, having won a Mega Entrepreneur Award in 2017 and in 2018 the South African Investor of the Year Award. I coach and mentor people locally and from around the world in how to take their businesses actually to the next level. And in this time of crisis, all of these concepts that we've been talking about and working through become really prevalent because 1, we're wanting to survive, and 2, we want to shift from surviving to thriving. So these are the 7 steps that I look for and I work with all of my clients around the world, both in property and in business, to really get through this and to come out really stronger than before we went in. First and foremost, cash is king. In all this uncertainty that we're going into, people are looking to make sure that they have liquidity. That means that they have cash to either pay for their bonds, cash to pay if their tenants default in their properties, cash to sustain themselves in their businesses, even if their employees cannot work either. At this moment in the lockdown in South Africa, it's really important that we have enough cash to be able to deal with all the uncertainty that's going on, just to keep ourselves going so that we can make sure we don't crumble and therefore default on a whole lot of certain important things. If it is that you find yourself that you can project and see that you are going to be losing money or that you are going to be running out of your cash, then we need to do something about that right away. Tightening the belt is one of the things that people do if you are uncertain about the length of time that this impact is going to have. And at this moment, no one seems to know with any degree of certainty what is going to happen in any midterm or long term with the coronavirus. So first and foremost, then tighten the belt. Get rid of all those extraneous expenses that actually just do not contribute to your well-being and your sustainability, and it is better to do it now than later when, of course, it might just be a fire sale and you have to get rid of it. So first and foremost, cash is king. Secondly, stay up to date with the relevant information, and that means discerning between what is fake news and good news. Find those channels that give you the information that allows you to actually make updated decisions or to pivot and strategize such that you can actually position yourself in a way that the other people around you can't. So really staying up to date. And if it's in property, it's in what are the legislative changes. For example, at the moment, we're in the lockdown, cannot evict our tenants. So what is the legal process to take? Is it best to negotiate? Is it best to serve letter of demand with them? Is it best to give them a rental deferment or a rental discount? So all of this process is going to be determined by the up-to-date information that's coming out of the legislation. So be clear and find those channels that you can use to stay up to date with the current information. Thirdly, in any form of business investment, we will have loans because we are leveraging other people's money to create our own wealth. This means that we have banks where we're going to have bonds on our properties, or it is that we've got private lenders that are lending us money, or angel investors that likewise are investing in our businesses. we want to reach out to those people to make sure that they know what our plans are. It is so important at this time to be the first to initiate that conversation. You do not want them to come to you and say, Robin, what are you going to do about the money that you owe me? We want to go to them first, because this is so important to instigate a sense of trust that we are actually taking responsibility for the money that people have lent us, and we have an action plan to do something about it. It is so important because this trust is what's going to give us time and, of course, a continued relationship after this crisis. So reach out to them, explain to them how you're handling it, explain to them how this impacts the deal or the partnership that you've got with them, and explain to them how this will all unfold so that they can actually just hear and perhaps renegotiate or adjust your proposal, as opposed to them coming to you and saying what's going on. So reach out to all of those people, whether it's formal institutions or friends or other investor partnerships, and take control of the situation so that you are the one initiating and driving. Next, take stock of what's happening now and create your plan for the crisis in this moment. How do you ride it through? How do you get through it and surviving? Then look at your 3-month plan and your 6-month plan. You need to have an insight of what's going to happen in this crisis now as we emerge from it, and then how do we get going again as we come out of it. That means actually being prepared for different variations of the strategies that you could use. Because the strategy you're using now to survive is going to be different from 3 months, which is going to be different to 6 months. For many people, they're just trying to survive now. Once you've got that in place, they're not thinking about, well, what's going to happen in 3 months? What's going to happen in 6 months? Have you pivoted? Do you need to get different form of suppliers? Are you going to need new customers? Where is it that you can actually start putting things in place now such that actually it's going to roll out and pay dividends to you later on? This is going to be around you having multiple strategies for now, for 3 months, for 6 months, and later, as there is so much uncertainty. Perhaps one of the most important things that you can do in any kind of crisis is the understanding that relationships become where the real value lies. Yes, we have assets that we want to protect. Yes, we want to have assets that we can leverage, but it's the relationships which in any crisis really show their true value. In this time, especially if you're still in lockdown, is reaching out to any and every person that are your clients, that your suppliers, your business partners, and see what's going on. Sometimes it's just a check-in conversation. What are they doing? What ideas are they coming up with? You might find that conversation might spur an idea in your head that could enable you to pivot your business in a whole different direction. Reaching out to people also solidifies the relationship, because when it is that we're coming out of the situation, they're going to remember that you reached out to them, that you initiated a conversation, that you valued something out of that. And this is going into the conversation without an expectation of anything. This is just you reaching out and solidifying the relationships. This is a perfect time as well to position yourself to people that you have really been wanting to speak to for a long time. Perhaps there are people who work at a different level than you. Perhaps they have got, in the property world, they have got multiple apartments or multiple buildings or whole complexes that you can actually now reach out to and ask what they're doing, or just interview them, whether it's on a podcast or whatever the scenario is. For most people who are in lockdown, this is the perfect opportunity to actually reach out to them and have a conversation with them. In the past 2 weeks, I have been writing down every day who are the people that I would most like to speak to in my industries that would actually add value to me, and me just reaching out to them and seeing if I can add any insight or value to them. This has actually created first-time connections with people that I would never have done before lockdown, and it has solidified something which could result in a future business relationship later on. Relationships are the key. Reach out and connect to these people in a way that actually provides a foundation for future relationships and joint ventures. The more you manage the situation at the moment, the greater your chances of future funding and future partnerships. And what do I mean by this? I want to know in any future partnership what that person did during this crisis time. I want to know how they managed themselves, how they managed their money, and how they initiated and did business during crisis time, because that will tell me about their character and the degree to which they can control and manage themselves in such a crisis situation. I want to make sure that I'm investing with and doing a joint venture with or a partnership with someone who can have a stable head. And should we be moving fast at the moment, or should we be slowing everything down? Well, I actually think that at this stage, it's going to be our ability to adapt, to be flexible, to be able to pivot, and to take action quickly on any of the strategies that we want to implement right away. Your ability to pivot your business, to see opportunities, and to re-strategize is what's going to enable you to move through this and position yourself to come out of it. Business is not going to be the same after this. Property investing may be similar, but there are going to be some parts of this and our ability to recover, our ability to keep our tenants for a longer period of time, especially if they're good tenants, all depend on the foundations that we're laying down now. Your ability to pivot, to be adaptive, and to be flexible are going to be key to surviving and then thriving.